Welcome, Chris Evans Radio. We are back with little Dave. He's still at the sunken face, and we're up on the scale, so it makes me happy. A week, almost a week of full eating. How do you
Yeah.
feel so far? Getting back to your normal life, normal routine, normal gym, and all that kind of stuff.
Honestly, this is probably like my favorite part about bodybuilding.
Agreed.
Like, I absolutely love the that it's honestly fun. I mean, pumps come easy. You feel strong. You're full as hell. And I think that's where a lot of people get go sideways is they try to either like, I'm full. I need more food, and they just eat a lot of shit, and then their rebounds over in 2 weeks.
Correct.
Or
Yep.
they go off the other way and they don't add any food, and then they do the same thing because they're like, well, I'm not getting ready for a show, and they'll just have 4 days of cheat meals,
Right.
and the same thing, the rebounds over in 4 weeks, where just like that middle line is like the awesome, like, all right, this is where we're at, where you're not going super high with food, but you're also not super low with food,
Yeah.
but that little middle ground where we're like, I'm definitely progressing.
Yes. Oh yeah.
My hunger is still, I'm definitely hungry,
Right. Yeah.
but like, I care more about like what I'm doing in the gym than my hunger,
Correct.
and that's like the longer you learn how to be comfortable being like, honestly, and once again, like off season, I start to hate food. So like this point, it's like, I want to make this last as long as I can because like,
Yes.
if I don't, if I'm like very much hungry for a meal, I'm gonna be fucking happy,
Right. Yeah.
versus like the timer goes off, you're like, fuck, it's meal three, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. What's interesting is your food's at a good clip, but it's not high. But I think what people fail to realize in this period is I have you on enough food to grow substantial muscle. But if you listen to hunger signaling, your body is going to say, man, I need 300, 400 more grams of carbs a day. And especially on your off days, like where I have your carbs a little bit lower and your fat a little bit higher. And that's so hard because, like you said, like people will add a free meal or they might say, oh, you know what, I'm going to have, instead of having 50 grams of carbs at this meal, I'm going to have 100. And then they see the like instant visual response of, oh man, I'm fuller and harder, but I didn't lose any condition. And they're like, fuck yeah, let's do this again tomorrow. And then again tomorrow. And then again tomorrow. And then it's like you said, fast forward 10 to 14 days. And it's like, appetite's trash. I'm fat. And where did every bit of my vascularity go? So and then again, if I want to talk about the other side of the coin, I have competitors who obsess about losing lines, vascularity, veins to the point of where they're under eating, and then they're actually shortchanging their progress because they're like, Chris calls for 350 grams of carbs today, but I'm gonna do 250. And it's like, bro, like I have those nutrients around your workouts stacked so that you have great progressive workouts and you're getting back to the semblance of like strength, power, explosiveness that you had in the all season, but you're still substantially leaner. So like it's like you said, it's the middle ground of you have enough food to grow, but not too much where you're gaining excess fat, and you don't have too little of food to where you're still in a deprivation mode and you're holding yourself back from getting a true rebound in my mind. So, and then we obviously leave cardio in, and that's as much for heart health and just like your joints feeling good and getting moving. Which I
Yeah.
think a lot of guys and girls like they get done with their prep, like cardio's done, fuck it, not doing it again.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, especially like first timers, if you ever do a show, like, I always tell my athletes, I had, this weekend I had a couple athletes compete. And then, after the show, the first thing I said was, go have a good meal with your family,
Yep.
have some fun time, set them up with a plan. But then, like, this doesn't stop today just because, like, um, bodybuilding, like, is an ongoing process. So
Yes.
if you want to continue to improve, like, the shit you've been doing for the last 20 weeks is going to be the shit you're doing for the next 20 weeks. But it's
Right.
going to be, like, you're not going to be doing as much cardio. Your
Right.
diet's not going to be as fucking hard.
Right.
Like, your rebound, if done well, it should be, a good clip more food in the first week.
Agreed. Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be like, oh, had 25 grams of rice to your 80 weight, what you've been eating 50 a day, so we're going to go to 75. No,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but the and it's sticking with the things you've been doing,
Right.
which keeps progressing you. It
Right.
blows my mind how many competitors are like, well, fuck that. I'm going to eat whatever I want to, and I'm going to do no cardio for the next, 18 weeks.
Yes.
And that's my off season. I'm going to do another show. And it's like, cool. You put on zero muscle, you put on 20 pounds of fat,
Yes.
and you're going to diet it off again. And you don't even have like a base diet to work off of.
Correct. Yes.
Like, explain to me how you want to improve again.
And a lot of times those same people are like, I'm not taking any shots. I'm tired of them. So like they cut their drugs, they cut cardio, and they eat bullshit.
Yep.
You want a recipe for getting crazy fat? I just laid it out on a platter for you. So your hormones now go from like superhuman to now you're like in the gutter. Yep. Please, guys, like everything, moderation. Like you can't go from being fully is what I'll view as like superhuman, like locked in, to just suddenly being like, you know what, I'm going to live a normal life because you're going to watch your physique just deteriorate in a matter of days and maybe weeks. Like
Yep.
it's wild. I mean, that's something that I feel like I did a great job of after your show and then after Chris and Aaron's of presenting like exactly what we did. We got up, we both did cardio the next morning. You still got back on your diet food. Like, did you have a few meals off? Yes. But for the most part, a majority of your meals were still clean, normal, what I'll say normal meals that you had all prep. Like, and then we kept the cardio. You still trained. Like, I think that's where people miss is they're like, man, Chris still had like a whey shake and cream of rice and banana post lift after the show. Why the fuck not? We just trained back.
Yeah. Yes. Like you don't need a burger for every fucking meal after the show.
No, no, right. So, again, I hope if anyone learned anything from you, the things that you and I posted, like, because we posted a lot of what we did. And I mean, I think if you watch our podcast from last week, we lay it all out pretty in depth. And you know, my takeaway from these past 10 or 12 days of my life and coaching and being around you, being around Chris, being around Aaron is like the guys who fully buy in and they follow the plan, it goes very smooth. And
Yep. Yeah.
I
And the opposite. Like I legitimately had a guy leave me this morning because he didn't want to follow the plan.
Mhm.
He got bored of it.
Right, right,
And it goes like I don't want to be that guy and be like, oh man, my client, my training programs are boring. But it's like I don't know how you are bored if you're pushing yourself,
right. Yeah,
you
agreed,
know?
agreed.
Like it just doesn't make sense to me. And if you're progressing while pushing yourself, there should be nothing boring about that.
Right.
And
Yeah,
if you need novelty, like do an incline barbell, do an incline dumbbell, do an incline machine. Like those are all fine substitutions.
right,
Fucking rotate through those every fucking week.
right.
Like, but if you do that and you don't like it, maybe you don't like bodybuilding.
Correct. Yes,
You
agreed.
just like hanging out on Instagram and posting physique shots. It's like go do that as a job.
Right. Yeah, agreed.
Get out of bodybuilding and go be a model.
Right. Yes.
Like stop it. Like stop getting in our space of training
Right.
just to post your fucking Instagram stories.
Yeah, agreed. You know, what you just said is huge because I think a lot of times people accuse me, accuse might be a strong word. They're like, Chris, my diet hasn't changed in 6 months in terms of the food choices. And I'm like, well, you're welcome to change your food choices any day of the week.
Yeah.
You and I were just talking about this with your meal you had this morning. And you're like, man, I tried this stuff with my eggs and my oats and it was delicious. And I'm like, awesome. I didn't freak the fuck out and be like, oh my God, why did you do it that way? Or if you would have said, you know what, man, oats just aren't sitting well. I had sourdough bread, or I had, I woke up this morning, I really was craving that peanut butter cookie bowl of gains. Awesome. Please, God, help yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I have a whole list of substitutions on the fucking plan.
yes, 100%. You get tired of eating turkey? By all means, have chicken, have fish, have a whey shake. I don't give a fuck. Like
Yeah,
very
yeah,
rarely will you ever hear me say, don't sub that. Now,
yeah,
at the same time, I'm don't try to tell me that eating Okios triple zero yogurt is the same as chicken or rice. It's not the same. I do not feel that way. But if you're gonna say, hey Chris, like potatoes in the air fryer taste really good to me right now. Can I have those instead of my rice? Please God do that. Yes.
yeah.
If
And sometimes it's even also simple. I had a guy reach out. He's like, "Man, I'm getting really tired of my beef and rice meals." I'm like, "How you cooking your beef?" And he's like, I'm getting the 96 4 ground beef and just cooking in a skillet." I was like, do yourself a favor. Go to the store, buy 4 pounds of flank steak,
right.
throw it in a crock pot with some sugar-free barbecue sauce,
Yes.
and tell me how that goes."
Right.
He
Yep.
texted me the next day. He's like, "This is fucking amazing."
Right.
I was like, "It's the same fucking meal."
Right. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe you just need to take some more time and effort in preparing that said meal.
Right.
Like I've eaten, like there's times where I'm like, I'm super lazy, and I will point that out, where I've eaten boiled chicken and plain rice.
Right. Yep.
And it was more of like I ran into a time crunch and this is what I had.
Yes. Right.
It's like that's not enjoyable. And if I did that every fucking day, I would hate that meal.
Right. Yep.
I would legitimately be like, I'm gonna have anything but this meal.
Right.
I'm gonna go to 7-Eleven and find something. I'm gonna eat a Lenny and Larry cookie and a fucking protein shake instead of this meal. My brain's gonna come up with ways to not have that meal.
Right.
Versus like if I take 3 minutes and throw that same meal in a skillet and cook it with some peppers,
Right.
now
Yep.
it's delicious.
Right. Yep. I mean, what's interesting is you remember I got that beef when I was with you in Vegas, and I instead of mincing it up, I
Yeah,
made a burger patty. I put sugar-free ketchup, sweet poppy sauce, and those pickles you had. Dear God, like you talk about delicious. Like again, I'm still taking that same ground beef he had. I just, in my mind, I'm elevating it. And it's like, I feel like I was eating a damn gourmet burger that you get at a restaurant.
yeah,
Like, and again, sugar-free ketchup, sweet poppy sauce, code C. Edmonds, use it. And then put some pickles on there. If we had onions, I'd have put onions on it too. But we didn't have any onions at the Airbnb, so it wasn't a big deal. I mean, I didn't have, so normally I eat grilled chicken all the time, right? Well, we didn't have a grill. So what did I do? I chopped up chicken. I slow cooked it in a giant fucking pot with takeout sauce and sweet honey barbecue sauce. And you and I both ate the dog shit out of that. It was delicious.
yeah,
Just slow cooked it, simmered it for an hour with the lid on it. Like effort, energy. Like that's all it was. I mean, I still sit there on my computer and did my updates while it was cooking. So
yeah,
guys, it doesn't, it's not, it's literally this bodybuilding game is unlocked and you feel like you're using a cheat code when you know how to cook food. I'm, and you and I are perfect examples of that shit. I'm sorry. Like it, that to me is the reason you and I are able to stay on a plan and we're not like, oh my God, like I can't wait to eat fill in the blank. And it's like, man, like we just had a giant bowl of a brownie and I let you have Rice Krispie treats post lift. I'm good, homie.
yeah, yeah. What else do I need?
Right. So I think transitioning out of that is the topic of today, as we promised last time, is we're gonna unleash the teaser of like, a lot of people had said, oh, Chris, like Dave looked crazy. He was up there hammering the top four of USA's. Like you're gonna just run it back and go to North Americans. And I'll let you tell everyone what we decided and then kind of your reasoning and thought process behind it.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I went through mind is I got a couple clients competing in North Americans this year, and I can't do both those jobs well.
No.
I know that personally, and like I have a job to do. Well, and if I go there, I have two jobs to do, and it's really hard to ride two fucking horses. So that was the main reason of not wanting to do North Americans. And then second off, it's like, I mean, I hate to be like that dude, be like, I don't care about getting a pro card. Like I do this because I like competing.
Right.
I like bodybuilding. I like improving myself. Like I don't give a shit what a piece of paper says, other than it allows me to compete at a different level.
Correct. Yep.
And I don't want to be that dude who gets a pro card and I can't compete now for 3 years.
Yes.
Like what's the point? Like the point of the pro card is to compete with the pros.
Correct.
So if you get that, you should be competing with the pros. It shouldn't be, oh, I got a pro card, I'm done.
Right.
That makes no sense to me.
Agreed.
Like
Agreed.
I get if life happens, you got your pro card, life happens, cool.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
like getting your pro card and that being the end of the day, and you just never touching bodybuilding again.
Right.
It's like, did you do that for Instagram clout so you could change your Instagram handle to IFBB Pro?
Agreed.
That's all I see there is when that happens. I don't want to be an asshole, but
It's
like
true.
the reason that card exists is just to distinguish the levels of bodybuilding.
Agreed.
You got novice, you have open, you have pro.
Yes.
In NPC the IFBB.
Yeah. Agreed.
And if all you do want to do is do a bodybuilding competition, be a novice.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get your pro card, you're gonna have to compete in the open.
Yes.
If you have your pro card, you compete in the IFBB. It's not that is the end of the road.
Right. Yeah. You know, someone asked me leading into the week of USA's, I said, "Oh, if Dave turns pro at USA's, are you going to suck him down the 212 for Tampa?" And I literally laughed and I said, "Why would I suck him down? Like, well, he's got to be close." And I'm like, "Yeah, why don't we just do open?" I was like, "I've never sucked him down intentionally for one show. I don't plan on starting now." So I I know that you and I's mindset align perfectly. And here's why. And this is what I think goes against what a lot of people think. Like, oh, well, 212 is easier than open. So let's suck him down. Or could I, hand to the fire, suck you down to light heavyweight and made you miserable and lose muscle? I certainly could. But I'm not going to. I made you work too fucking hard to gain that muscle. I'm trying to do the other thing. Like, what I'd like to see what you look like as a small super, where most coaches are fucking petrified of that. Like, oh my God, he's gonna jump to super. I'm like, he's 5 fucking 5. If you come on stage, shredded it out of your fucking face at 228, it's gonna be a nasty look, man.
Yeah,
Like it
and then
just
that's inherently possible.
yes.
I
Oh, that's
weighed in at 218, weighing in at 228 is on par for what I do every fucking year.
correct. I have every bit of faith. I don't have any fear in doing that. None, zero, no fear. And you don't either, which is why we get along. Because you're like, a lot of clients will be like, Chris, I'm that close to heavies. Suck me down. And I'm like, why? Like, I go back to this rule I always have. You want to win the overall, right? And they're like, yeah, fuck yeah, Chris. You're gonna have to beat the super anyways, or you're gonna have to beat the heavyweight anyways. Just fucking do it in your class. Like, and then they just look at you with a blank stare. And like, what do you mean? I was like, if you want to win the overall, you have to beat fucking everyone. So why are you worried about being heavyweight or super heavyweight or middleweight or filling the whatever cusp you're on? And then they have like a brain malfunction because they're like, fuck, I didn't even realize that. And because it goes against common knowledge, right? You're like, oh, well, you suck down, it'll be easier. And guess what? If you are the overall winner, you're the best man on stage, period.
Yeah. Well, I mean, take a gander at the Olympia. We got Samson, who's 290-ish on stage, and you got Derek Lunsford, who's 240s, maybe.
Correct.
You know,
Yep.
they
Yep.
both stand next to each other.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed. I mean,
It's not a weight contest.
no, no, it is not. And, you know, I'm actually really thrilled because I think like where your body was at was in a perfect spot. It wasn't beaten to the ground. It's going to set up for a better rebound in off season than if you would have had to push for 4.5 more weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that would have taken it. I'm not saying that you couldn't do that. I know you're mentally tough enough to endure whatever we set plan for. But you didn't get so fucked up to where any joint compromisation was happening. We didn't have any muscle injuries or tears. Like you're in a good spot. All the fat was gone. It's the biggest you've ever been. And then if your photos you posted the other day aren't proof enough that we made the right call.
Yeah.
And again, I literally said to you, I was like, you evolved like a fucking Pokemon, like right before our eyes. And a lot of people are asking me about those, and I was like, look, here's the deal. that level of fullness that you saw in those photos, we're going to turn into real muscle, and that's what he's going to look like on stage next year, but fully stripped out. So, and I have no fear, no doubt, no fear of that at all. It's going to happen, and when that happens, man, like it's going to be a cool thing to see on stage.
Yep.
And it's like I think you said in your post, maybe like you got a glimmer of what's next in that
Yep.
moment, and that's fucking cool.
100%.
Because that's everyone's like, oh, this shit with you and your physique, it's always like about levels, and it's like here, and each time you get to a new one, you look up and you see a higher peak, and it's like we don't get caught up on the ultimate mountaintop. It's just like let's just get to the next one and then see what happens. All right, cool, we're there now. Awesome. Now what? Let's go to the next one, and it's like let's create a plan. And I've always viewed it like a map quest type deal. We want to fix this, this, this. Here's how we're going to do it. Here are your action steps. And then each week you're going to check in. I know you'll be 100% compliant. And then my plan will change based upon what your body tells me it needs. And in my heart, I know, I mean, at minimum, like, do I think you could have placed top five again, North Americans, maybe even top three, maybe top two, maybe win? Yes. But as you said earlier, what if we had one more off season and then you turn pro and then that's another season of, as I said to you before we started and hit record, another season of you preparing for an NPC show like a pro. And I don't want that to go over people's head. I want that to sink in. I don't remember back to your first preps as in detailed as I do like the last six, but these especially last five in my mind stand out of you've prepared for these shows like a professional. So now it's just a matter of we got to get your physique to the pro stage ready, and then it's just business as usual. We're not gonna I'm not gonna turn you pro and be like, all right, Dave, we got to turn this bitch up. Like you got to learn how to diet, you got to learn how to eat fish, you got to learn how to do your cardio, you have to learn how to pose. Like no, all of that's gonna be locked in. It's just a matter of okay, cool. Now everything else has got to level up in terms of we need more muscle and we just each year getting progressively leaner and skin texture is improving and just stacking those seasons up. Um, because listen, I saw a handful, a handful is generous, a good amount of pros who looked like an amateur on stage, and that hurts. So I actually learned that lesson from Kenny. And he said this to me the first time I ever posed with him. He said, Chris, even though it's their first time working together and you are an NPC competitor, my goal was when you get on stage, you present your physique like a professional. And I was like, all right, done. Easy. Fuck yeah, show me how to do it. So what I thought we would kind of transition to now that, everyone knows that we're going into full rebound mode is talk about I'd love for you to go through your mindset of that dead stop dumbbell row set you did and where your brain was because most people post show like they're in there just getting a pump and having fun. Like in your mind, when you did that set, what was the mission?
Honestly, get better. The That's always been my mission when I'm training. It's pretty fucking easy. Like I can see my goal over there. I'm gonna walk towards it. Like that one blows my mind is where, you have a goal in mind, but you're walking that way,
Mhm.
you know?
Yes.
Like that's never made sense to me. Like the training we do in the gym is like the most straightforward thing towards our goals.
Yeah.
Like diet is not that straightforward when it comes to it. Like,
Yeah.
like it is a little bit, it's not so black and white,
Great. Yeah.
but training is very much like, did I do my best or did I not do my best?
Yes.
And I don't want to sit at home and be like, well, I had a rep left in that, you know, I don't want to get on stage and be like, man, what if I actually tried hard in the gym?
Right.
Like it's really easy to know, like, okay, cool, I failed. I couldn't have done more. Maybe I got a force rep with a partner, you know, and okay, I know that's not possible for me to do another rep. Like that was a good set.
Right.
But if at any point I'm racking it early because it's painful or because my brain says to stop, that's just going to eat me alive.
Yeah.
Because I'm legitimately just saying fuck you to my goals. I have these goals and I'm like actively not pursuing them.
Right. Yes. Yep. It's really interesting. The first time I'd ever won my class, I remember I got to the gym on Monday and I was ready to tear the world apart because I'd never been in an overall pose down before. And that fueled my fire so much. So I was like, oh, I'm almost to that next level of competitor that I've always wanted to be. And that's one step closer to winning an overall. Right. And I was sitting on the hammer strength and I was just crushing sets with 4 plates aside on the incline. And one of the guys who did the show with me came over and he said, "Aren't you worried you're going to hurt yourself?" And I just literally looked dead back at him. I said, "Aren't you worried you're going to say the same?" And then afterwards in the locker room, like we were both like just like hanging out, like I was washing my hands, and he said to me, he looked at me, he's like, I'd never really considered that. And I was like, really? And he's like, I look over, he's like, you have your hood on, it's the Monday after a show, your tan's still on your fucking body, and you're in there lifting like full blown all season. And I was like, man, you aren't fucking fired up, like you aren't ready to rip the world apart and be better. And he's like, I just thought you were supposed to cruise after a show. And I was like, according to who?
Yeah,
And it goes back to those stupid bodybuilding rules that you and I make fun of all the time. It's like, why?
yeah.
Because some pros said to a decade ago, and then everyone viewed it as gospel.
It's like the fucking, rice cakes backstage.
Right, right.
Blows my fucking mind. Every show I go to, people are pounding those motherfuckers
Oh yeah,
for 7 grams of carbs.
right.
7.
Yes. No. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like there's more fucking carbs on the jam you're putting on that fucking rice cake.
Yes.
Stop. Like legitimately find something. The Rice Krispie treat I eat has 17 grams of carbs and it's a fourth of the size.
And it's moist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I laugh about it even more is if you watch these competitors, like the ones who don't even put jam on it, they're loading almond butter and peanut butter like thick on there. I'm like, all right, so you're going to take slow digesting brown rice and you're going to make it even slower with fat.
Yo, and then they add some honey though.
Oh yes. Yeah. Well,
They're like,
they have to spike their blood sugar, right?
and then they complain that they can't shit for 3 days after the show. So it's like, oh, how would you eat 3 sleeves of rice cakes with almond butter? Oh, I could think of an easier way to get 150 grams of carbs in.
Fuck, I know, right? Yeah. Yeah. It just goes back to logic. And I believe that sadly a lot of coaches still do it because they think that's what I'm supposed to do. And I'm like, again, you know me, and I think anyone who's listened to this shit enough knows that like if there's a rule and I can break it, I'm gonna fucking do it. Like
Yeah,
uh, right, okay, let's see. We white rice the whole fucking time. Okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna switch to brown rice with these cakes. Like, what if we just use Rice Krispie treats? That makes way too much sense. At minimum, I would have you just eat a bowl of Rice Krispies. Like, just drizzle honey on that shit and fucking eat them. Like, all right,
yeah,
cool. Like that would probably and put some jelly in there. You could probably make a cool little concoction there of like jelly, Rice Krispies, and honey, and you're good to go. Like, I've
yeah,
I've had people pound angel food cake backstage because it sits light on your stomach. It's very carb dense.
yeah,
Again, I did just zero rules. It's like it's not. For a long time, I used to have my guys eat like 2 Nutri-Grain bars backstage.
yeah.
It
I
just made
remember being part of that group.
yes, yes. It just works. They're relatively light in your stomach, a good clip of carbs, a little bit of fat, got the jelly in the middle. Man, it's fucking simple. Like, yeah. Again, those things just make sense to me.
Yeah. Hell, I remember the first couple of shows you had me do a V8.
Ooh, that's a Matt
You know,
Porter trick.
yeah,
All that
the
sauce.
sodium there,
Yep, yep.
sodium in the Nutri-Grain bars. People are like, "What the fuck is happening back here?" I'm like, "Promise this works."
And then you
You know,
get a
you,
pump and you're like, fuck. Again, back to logic. So I think with your rebound. I would say most people would see your plan and be like, "Oh man, his food's really high," but in the grand scheme of life, like it's conservative for you.
Yeah, yeah, 600 grams of carbs is like water for me.
Right. And again, I'm trying to keep your digestion intact as long as humanly possible. Each week, we'll take that food up. I would assume your carbs will get somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 in a day, and then we'll take an off week. And we'll pull the food back down, to reset your digestion, give you a break, remove all stress in terms of from physical activity stress. And then that's where we'll start like an official off season with a clean slate. So, I think that's something else I'd love to talk about a bit is, in the past, I always say, let's shoot for 8 weeks post show of training and not taking a week off. But something you've been really great with is you'll just tell me like it could be a seventh week or a 6.5 week mark, and you're like, I need to take that week off now. Um, do you want to talk about some warning signs or just things you feel that lead you to send me that email?
The Well, I mean, it's just paying attention to how your body responds to training.
Right.
When you go in and shit's flying off you're adding weight to your session, you feel good, nothing feels beat up. You go in, you're like, wow, this gym session was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying every single gym session needs to be 100% that perfect. But
Right.
then when you go into the gym and you pick up something what's like normal, like if I'm warming up for chest and I pick up the 100-pound dumbbells and they feel heavy, something's fucking wrong,
Agreed.
you know? Like those should never feel heavy for me,
Right. Yeah.
you know? And if it's a mental thing, I'm going to maybe try to do a set with it. And if it still feels heavy, I'm just going to go home
Yeah.
because there's no point in training that. Like I'll go, I'm just going to get a pump and leave. It's like, that's a fucking wasted training session. My body's not going to want to respond to this in a positive manner. Like it's going to get a response of stress,
Yes. Yeah.
and some calorie burn, but it's not a signal to grow.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, cool, if like the hundreds felt heavy, so I'm not going to do anything close to my work weight.
Right.
Cool, I can put some blood in the muscle, but blood in the muscle doesn't equate to growth,
No.
you know.
I bet. No.
And having that, if that happens, cool. Maybe I needed just a rest day for that. But if I go back in the gym and the same shit's happening, it's like I'm taking the whole fucking week off.
Agreed.
Some people might be like, oh, well, what about a deload? Or the new group of trends is like, oh, if your training's dialed in, you don't need a deload. And that's the one that one's hilarious to me because like you never need a deload if you're never overreaching.
Yes.
And if you're never overreaching, that means you're never trying hard.
Yes.
And if you're never trying hard, how the fuck are you expecting to grow?
Happenstance and drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and that I think takes a lot of maturity because I know based upon like what I present on the internet and what people see me talk and read and preach about, and I think sometimes they get in their head, they're like, oh, Chris is going to think I'm being weak mentally. I'm going to push through this.
Yeah.
And that's not what I want. Listen, there's a time to step on the gas, like say in a contest prep where it's like, you're right, you need to push through this.
Yeah.
But in a rebound, if your body is giving you warning signs to pull back, that's when we take an off week.
Yeah.
And that may
Well,
be
it's also we're not taking days off.
right.
Like if I'm going home from the gym and I'm like that example, I started warming up with dumbbells and they felt fucking heavy. I'm going to stop training. I'm going to go do some mobility work.
Right.
I'm going to stretch.
Yeah.
I'm going to utilize the time I have at the gym there to make myself better, just not in a bodybuilding building session.
Right.
Like, cool, I might, and then that rest week, it's like I'm going to take that advantage to get body work, make
Yep.
sure I'm doing my mobility, make
Yep.
sure I'm stretching.
Yep.
Nailing my fucking food. Like the
Right.
off week, when we say off week, we don't mean like I am just going to free ball everything. I
Right.
have everything structured.
Yes.
I'm gonna make sure I'm sleeping. I'm gonna make sure I'm, active throughout the day. I'm not, my steps are not gonna be like 14K because I can't sit well with myself of actually chilling, you
Right.
know, but I'm gonna have some movement. Like I'm gonna take my dog for a walk
Mhm.
and I'm gonna, move around. I'm not just gonna sit on the couch and play video games for a week straight,
Right. Yeah.
and then the mobility work and all that shit.
Yeah.
That's what we mean when we take a rest week. It's not just, okay, cool, I'm just gonna, completely 180 from bodybuilding.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's where so many people get confused is because they hear, oh, I took a rest day. It means you can't do anything at all.
Right. Yeah.
It's like you live your normal life, maybe do some mobility, some stretch, but the goal is stress reduction,
Right.
you
Yes.
know?
Yep. Yep.
And that's the secret.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. I mean, and you nailed it because a lot of times people say, well, Chris, what do I do with those 2 hours of my day? I'm like, rest, nap, chiropractor, all the things that you tell me you don't have time for, massage therapy, go play golf with your kids or your family or your friends. Like, that's still like, for me, like golf is like low-hanging fruit of being like active recovery.
Yeah.
When you get some
Yeah,
good stuff,
you're walking around hitting something with you're hitting a ball with a swing,
right,
like it's not taxing. You're driving a fucking golf cart.
right.
Like what gets me is like I get a client like, all right, I'll take a rest week. They're like, I went on a 14-mile hike. You're like,
Right.
fuck. No, like it was 8,000 degrees of elevation up too. It was
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, so you spent 4 hours on a stairmaster?
Right. Yeah.
Like, could you not have just walked around the park?
Well, correct. Yes. In that, I think some people like they have, I don't know if it's nervous energy or anxiety like tied to that, where I'm like, what are you escaping? Like, in my mind, this is what I think. I mean, it's 'cause I spent way too much time with Angela. What are you running from? Are you scared to be in your thoughts, like without something occupying your brain space? Like, and if so, it's time to address some of those issues.
Yeah,
Because you can't, and I only know this because I've worked with a lot of those clients. So like training's my therapy and it's what I mask my demons with. Okay, cool. Well, what happens when that has to go away for whatever reason, an injury, you need an off week? Like, what are you gonna do then? Well, then they're like, oh, it turns into the shit you just described. Well, I did a 14-mile ruck with 200 pounds on my back. Hey, like that, we may as well just have trained for fuck's sake.
yeah,
'Cause I'd rather you do arms than that bullshit.
yeah, yeah. You're actively, especially your legs are a weak point. You want a 14-mile hike. It's like you really want to be an endurance athlete.
Right, right.
It
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, let's go ahead and eat them up. Please, God, come back with hurt knees and sore ankles. Like
Yeah,
so again, on that off week, I just encourage everyone to just take a deep breath. And the cool thing about that is spend some extra time with your family, catch up on work projects that you've been putting off. How about this? Read a book that's going to help you in your world of either mental or physical or learning a new task or skill. All easy, non-physical activities that will level up your life. Like, there's no reason you can't. One of the cool things I did one off week after a prep I did was Angela bought me that Gordon Ramsay Master Chef class. I literally did that for a whole week, and it was so much fun. So when I trained, that was my training window, and it was like a 2 hour class a day for 7 days, and I learned how to like really cook shit. And I mean, listen, I figured I knew how to make pasta now, even though I've never done it in real like again after that. But again, find something you can get into.
yeah,
And if you need something to distract your brain, like again, it's one of those things where get you a book, get you a project to work on and have at it. So I think after all is said and done, when you look at like when to choose what to do after a show, I guess we should talk about like next of all right, Dave, let's say you have a client who competed and you'd like to see them do another show afterwards. What are some things you look for in terms of either their mental space, their body, for suggesting they push to another show? If they're giving you full reign, because we have clients that'll be like, you just tell me what to do, man, and I'm all about it. So, what are some things you would look for, or some things you might see that would say, you know what, I think we should go for at least one, maybe two more shows?
all right. So first off, is they're mentally not fucking broken.
Correct.
Especially like someone who's done it's very common their first show. Like they're so burnt out by the time they get there. Like the last couple of weeks was just managing fatigue and making sure they don't fall off
Yeah.
because they've never felt that level of leanness before, and they're just in a new territory. I'm not saying they're mentally weak. I'm just saying they've never been there before, and they don't. Their body's like freaking the fuck out because they've never been there before. A lot of times, that's not a great time to do another show
No.
because it's just all right, cool. We need to get your mind a little bit more solid.
Yes.
And then if they are in a good spot mentally, if they're not in a good spot physically, depending on what you had to do to get them to that show, like if you had to push them a lot hard the last 4 weeks to get them in the condition, it's going to take a second to get out of that hole.
Yes.
So
Yep.
depending on how close you are to your next show, like in that case, if it's like 8 weeks away, definitely give them some food back, you know, but you have to monitor that so carefully because like you just beat the shit out of them to take body fat off.
Yeah.
So they're going to want to put it back on,
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
you know, and if they can, and that's back to knowing your client. And if they, if you have to tell that person like, okay, cool. If you want to do another show, there's no cheat meal tonight,
Right. Yes.
and that's the only thing they've been on. That's the only thing that's been getting through their fucking life
Right.
is what they're going to have a cheat meal after their show.
Mhm.
They, they won't do it,
No. Agreed.
you know, and so those two things have to be in play
Yeah.
and making sure, I mean, the cards you played to get to that first show
Yes.
are cards you have to either unplay or keep in play for the next one.
Yeah.
And depending on what those are, like some of them shouldn't be in play that long.
You fact. Yes. So there's some things I look for, and I'll give a boatload of scenarios because I think they're all over the place. I've
Yeah.
successfully done back to back 3 shows, 4 shows in a row in all of these scenarios. All right, let's say the first scenario is the person is absolutely peeled for show one and they're just in a good groove. That like you said, they're mentally stable, they are fired up, they want to win, they want to keep going. That's an easy decision in my mind, unless that person in my mind has milked every bit of their physique in that current state and they're chasing something on a grander scale. So like let's say that would have happened with you when you were like 185 pounds. I'd be like, all right, Dave, like that's cool. Like we could do another show in 2 weeks, but what if we had those 2 weeks to grow? Right? Like so
Yep.
it takes a little bit of like person to person where if I have a guy or a girl who has a majority of the muscle they need, I'll go ahead and let them keep competing. Because if you're fully peeled, 9 times out of 10, I can keep your cardio lower, I can keep your food higher, and it's just a matter of just maintaining the look. And then I want to like maybe potentially try something new with the peak to maybe get them a little better, right? So,
Yep.
all right, cool. Like I might load you a little bit more aggressively with carbs, or oh, I might be a little less aggressive with carbs, or I might be a little more aggressive with where we push water. I might leave your growth hormone in. I might use insulin, like all those kind of things. So to me, it's almost like a learning opportunity with those people to like, let's try a few things because we've already won. I have nothing to lose.
Yep.
Um, the next scenario is going to be someone who is lean but not peeled, and they're in a good spot and they're fired up. And even if they won, I will sometimes say, okay, cool, like we're like 98%. Like I want to step on that gas and see what you look at 100%. And you pick a show 3, 4 weeks down the line, and you're like, look, this next couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks are going to be absolute hell, but I want to get you peeled. And that's to me will set them up a better rebound because
100%.
they're just a sponge. The another scenario is where either the client just simply needs more stage time. And that especially goes for a lot of female categories that I work with. Like if you're a bikini girl and you can't whip around on stage and look sexy and like really own and command the judge's attention, like even though your physique is there, I need you more time on that stage gaining confidence in doing.
Yep.
Um, I'm sure she won't mind me saying this, like Keena, that's why we competed so much and why we continue to compete so frequently is each time she gets a little bit better on stage, but she still hasn't got that like knockout killer mentality that the women she competes against have, where it's like, look at me, I'm the winner. I'm gonna beat the rest of you bitches down. Like,
Yeah.
and each time it gets a little bit better, but she's someone who needs to be on stage in working through that. And if you know by anything you and I believe in, like confidence comes from doing. And eventually she's going to get to a point where we've been on stage so many times as a pro that it's like, I belong here. I'm going to qualify for Olympia today, and I'm the best. That's going to take some time.
100%.
So I think those are all the scenarios that I would really push people to keep going. Um, I can't think of anything other. You named the reasons not to. And yeah. But there is a point where you do have diminishing return. So I need everyone to hear that. Um, don't just keep racking up wins to stay lean and look cool, like because that doesn't
Yeah.
work either. Eventually, you will hit a stop point, and your body will just go sideways.
Yeah.
So
That one always makes me laugh when you get someone who competes and they're like, "Hey, I'm doing another show in 10 weeks. I'm gonna do, and then they do that show and they don't do as well as they thought. And they're like, I'm gonna do another show in 10 weeks.
right,
And then it's like that 20 weeks you spent getting ready for those two shows are 20 weeks you could have put on a lot of muscle, what you
right,
needed to grow to be competitive. But instead of doing that, you wanted to be a body shower, not a bodybuilder.
right, right. Yeah,
And like it's fine and dandy. If you have the muscle and you're ready to go and you're close, fucking do it.
right.
But if you're far enough away and it doesn't make sense to do it, it's like, why are you still competing?
Yeah,
Take the
agreed.
time off, do the work, get better.
Right. Yeah. That's the conversation Chris and I had on Friday morning when we were talking about it. And I was like, man, we have maxed out your current physique. Literally, I could not have peaked you better. You could not have had a better prep. We now know you need more back, more arms to compete with those boys. So let's do it. And he's like, fuck yeah. So it a very similar situation to you. You had a great showing. We moved up substantially. Your physique leveled up drastically. We learned a lot of cool things about tanning, about posing, about getting you ready on stage. And now we just go back to work, doing what you love. And know then 2026 will be back and be bigger and better and fix the little discrepancies that we see and hopefully continue to climb from fourth to third to second to first. And eventually it'll happen.
Yeah.
So everyone out there, I thank you for listening to Dave and I for another podcast. We're inching closer to episode 100. This is 97, I think. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, until next time, Chris, Dave, we are done.